here we are, episode 7 off the rails here at CrossFit Taylor's. Once again, we are in the old Wolfington Chiropractic office, as you might be able to tell from the muscular system and ligaments of the joints in the background here above Cameron's head.
Yeah.
But it does help with the noise, and it's a little bit nicer just to kind of be away from all the chaos
Yeah.
sometimes, especially when like the kids' class and all that stuff starts winding up or starting
Down,
up as well.
down, all the
Yeah.
things.
So I do know that we have a pretty good comment, and I think this one actually works out well because she a trolley train
Yeah.
client?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. I work with Devin. Yep.
All right. So from Dr. Devin Berry left a comment on the latest video. Um and it's a little bit of a long one, so we're gonna cut this down a little bit. But so just a little background, at least to my knowledge, she came to CrossFit Taylor's, was a coach here for a little bit,
Yeah.
up in Montana,
Yes.
and opened up her own gym there.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
So they have a Chinese medicine practice that they moved up there, and then when they moved that, they also decided they wanted to add on or open a CrossFit gym and kind of add it into everything that they have going on and get their patients moving a little bit more, as well as other people in the
Yeah.
community. So
And is that like Middle Path?
middle path, yeah,
Middle Path CrossFit.
CrossFit.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
Shout
right.
out.
Yeah.
Good job, Nate.
Let's see here. Okay, would love to hear more. Oh, okay. So we're gonna
All
start
right.
at this point. Would love to hear more about your personal journey slash perspective as an owner going from sole coach to building slash having a team you trust and rely on. Dot dot dot. Letting go of some of on the floor coaching hours so you could focus on other things elsewhere within the business. Less about nuts and bolts of how, but more what the experience was like. And that's kind of some nice stuff at the end there. So really going from being the sole coach, the one who's doing everything, to then bringing on other coaches so you can kind of take care of some of the business side of things
Yeah.
is how I interpret that.
Okay. Um, I mean, first off, there's like a necessity for it. I don't know any CrossFit owner who still, like years in, like even 1 year in, I think would be still the only coach at
Mm,
like that. It's just a lot. Like when you open and you're like, hey, I'm going to offer, unless you had a really reduced schedule, I guess I could see that. But like, obviously, when I open the gym, it's like, this is going to be my full time job. This is
yeah.
my thing. Like, this is how I'm going to make money for my family and myself. Um, so the schedule had to be broad enough to have opportunities for people to come in, right?
Mhm,
So when we first started, I'm coaching 5:30 a.m., 9 a.m., noon, 4:30 p.m., 5:30 p.m., and 6:30 p.m.
mhm,
Monday through Friday, and then a Saturday class, right? That's just coaching. That has nothing else to do with the business, marketing, or anything like that. Which we all know that a 1 hour class of coaching isn't really just 1 hour. Like there's the before and the after
yeah.
and all that stuff too. Um, so if you just think about that in general, it's like, okay, yeah, it's exciting at first. You're like, yes, this is my business. I'm super stoked. I'm going to be there. I'm going to be pumped. But like that excitement in the beginning starts to wear off. And you still go like, okay, I still have to show up and do these classes. Right. So it takes a lot of energy. But that knowing that was like, it wasn't ever only going to be me. It was just
Mhm,
like, hey, I know eventually I'm going to need some help. That being said, I personally don't, um, I've never been to a gym and also agree with like I've never just hired somebody that I didn't know or that wasn't part of the gym.
mhm,
Like, I want to get to know you. I want to know who you are, how you coach, who you like, not even how you coach because you weren't a coach yet, but like your personality, how do you fit in, things like that. Like, do you actually care about this place and like these people and like you enjoy CrossFit and who you are, right? So I was just starting to kind of like look for those people.
mhm,
And then, once you get to know people a little better, you start having the conversation. Hey, I used to be a coach, right? Still have my L1. I coached over here. I moved. This or that happened or
yeah.
whatever. So it's like, okay, cool. You have experience. You're a good person. All this stuff starts to fall in place. So, that's kind of how the whole bringing on coaches thing started.
Mhm,
Was like people that really like wanted to help. Like I didn't necessarily always go look for people. Like people would approach, hey, I would love
yeah.
to help. And that's kind of how it started. And I was like, sweet, cool.
Yeah.
I would love your help because
Mhm,
like I'm doing a lot. Um, but the other part of your question, right, is how does that how does that make you feel almost like
yeah.
like as the owner, like, and it is hard. It is really hard to and I think this applies to anybody on any business or anything that they care about, right? If you start something, um or build something, and now you have to relinquish some of that to somebody else. It does take time, and it takes um, some like mental, like, I don't know. You almost have to, like, for me, it wasn't like a barrier, but it was like a, okay, I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna trust this person, but I can always take it away.
Mhm.
Like, it wasn't like a, this is like a dead set, like this is exactly how it's gonna work.
Yeah.
But it was also like I can still be here. Like, I'm used to the schedule. So like, hey, you're gonna coach the 4:30 class for me or whatever
Yeah.
it was. And then I'm gonna be here during that class.
Mhm.
Especially more in the beginning, because like for me, that was my time to work out now. So instead of trying to work out and coach at the same time or on my own, it was like, okay, cool. I have another coach or a couple more coaches now. And like on those days that they're helping me coach, because they weren't full time coaches, none of them, no, none of our coaches are full time coaches, right? It was, especially in the beginning, I had like one or two. So it was like,
Mhm.
okay, cool. You're helping out with 2 to 3 classes here or there each. So those are my like one time a day that I'm going to go work out. So like it made the transition easier because it was like I was still there. Um, to be part of that class, also help them learn how to coach a little bit more, but still be like connected with those members and kind of like jump in if I needed to here or there, which was probably helpful on both ends of member and coaching. Just to be like, hey, like, yeah, great, but also like, what about this or that or whatever. Um, so I would say in the beginning it was a little easier, because it was still mostly me, and I only had a couple people,
Yeah.
and it was still like, okay, I'm still at the gym majority of the time. I just get to have some time to myself to work out or
Yeah.
like little breaks. But that got the ball rolling with building a team.
Mhm.
And it organically grew, which was probably good. Like, it wasn't like a, um, by this date, I'm going to have this many coaches, and this is exactly how it's going to be set up. It was legitimately like, hey, man, I want to help here. Like,
Mhm.
I love what's going on, and I think I'd really be interested in coaching.
Yeah.
Cool, let's make that happen. How can I help you? Help me, and then we'll figure out the logistics behind the scenes of like, how does all that work? And so it's kind of how I am with a lot of things around here. Like, just come in the door and start doing things, and like we'll figure that the important behind the stuff, scene stuff, out like as we do it. And then uh that was that way for a while, and it just slowly, like, we just slowly just added a coach here or there.
Mhm.
Like, it wasn't, I never like put an ad out and was like, I need coaches.
Yeah.
Like, I was always okay with doing the work. It just was like, okay, if the right person came in and it felt like it fit,
Yeah.
then I started approaching people like, hey, I think you'd be a good coach around here. You seem to fit in well. Would you like to coach? And then, like, here's how we do our coaching and how we lay out, like, you get a membership and whatnot, and this is what, is expected. Um, and so that part is like how it happened, which is like more than nuts and bolts. The feeling of it though is like, it's hard because you've grown, an identity within a gym, right?
Mhm.
I think most CrossFit gyms have an identity, and that starts with the owners and how they started the business or how they've kind of approached their idea behind CrossFit, and kind of who they are as part of who the community is, I think. And I feel like that's was in my head when I started of like, okay, I'm going to help people clean up. I'm going to tell people good job. I'm going to be happy when they walk in the door. I'm going to welcome them in. And like, if I just do all these things, A, because I'm excited about it, but like if I start doing that, then other people will be doing that. And then hopefully like our coaches will be doing that. And like, that's the culture that we built. Right. And so I think that's how like a lot of gyms operate, is like the culture is the owner. So that there is that piece of your identity in there. So now when you start bringing other people on board, it's like, okay, are they still bringing the same culture that I originally brought in? Or if it's changing, is it changing for the good? Is it changing for the bad? Do we need to course correct some things and have those conversations? But again, everyone that has coached for us has been part of the community first.
Mhm.
And so there hasn't had to be a lot of course correcting, because it's like you understand how we do things, you fit in well to how we do things, and you've seen coaches or classes be coached and things like that and been part of that. And so it's like you're really just kind of stepping in and not necessarily repeating it exactly, but like, okay, I understand, kind of like we talked about on the other one of like, if Cameron coaches this way, I'm kind of trying to coach that same
Yeah.
way or treat people that same way or whatever
Mhm.
it is. So it's scary, but it's also like I trust this person because I've seen them show these characteristics that I'm already okay with.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that helps. Um, the harder part of which I didn't think would be this hard, but like growing a business past after a couple of years, like the beginning, like a business, if you're doing some things right, like it's going to grow, but then like you're going to start hitting these walls. And then that's where it really became like, okay, do I need more coaches? Do I need less coaches? Do we need more space? Do we need more equipment? Like, do I need to do better coaching development and things
Mhm.
like that, which starts to take me off the floor more and think more about the business side. But I also can't step completely away from the gym, or
Yeah.
not even completely away, but like even like there was like waves of up and down that I've kind of like found. And I think really last year with us starting a family and like Taylor getting pregnant and then us knowing this was coming, I took a big step back to try to like get some more things in line, which I think was good. But I also felt the impact on the community and like
Mhm.
the gym in general. I think um, it didn't go in a bad way, but it just kind of stalled.
Mhm.
It didn't like continue to grow, or like it wasn't like I feel like the culture wasn't necessarily the exact same. And I don't know if that had to do with me stepping back or just was in general some other stuff going on and that we had to deal with. But like I do think there's a balance of whether you're an owner or a head coach of like how often you should be in the gym and connecting with the members. Because if we take it back to the beginning, my most members, almost all members, like their first interaction is with me.
Mhm.
And especially like our original, really, let's call it the first 5 years of business, like they were dealing with me 90-95% of the time. So it's like
Yeah.
those people are kind of attached to me. And if I step away and they haven't really built a good relationship with all the other coaches, especially if there's like constantly a different coach coaching them, then they're like, man, is Cameron coming back? Where's Cameron? Where's Cameron? Where's Cameron? Which is good and bad. Like, I would like to be able to step away from the business and have the business grow and be fine and people be confident in what's around it. But it's like if I do it too fast,
Mhm.
then it's like, ooh, something's going on. I don't know if I feel comfortable or I'm not really confident in like whatever's going on as a member. And it's just like, okay, so like I think I didn't step completely away, but like I took a big step back really fast and then realized that probably wasn't the move. So I started putting myself back in a big position and like starting to like play with that line of like, how many classes a week do I need to coach or be here? And or how much time should I be spending in the gym? Like now that I have a place with an actual office, I can spend a little more time here between classes or during classes. And really just kind of like building my schedule more around like making sure that I do a 5:30 a.m. class, so I get to see those people once a week. I do touch a 7:30 a.m., 9 a.m. class once or twice a week, a noon class, and then I'm here in the afternoons, whether it's working out or coaching, so that I see those people and
Mhm.
like get to kind of like walk around and talk and do those things. So like that was a big learning lesson. Was definitely like building a team, but also realizing that that's not enough to replace me
Yeah.
necessarily. That takes pressure off of the things I need to do on a daily basis or all the tasks, right? And all the coaching. But that doesn't necessarily mean like I, unless it's like a vacation or something, like I still need to be here regularly. And so that was kind of a big thing. And it's never that I wanted to not be like, I don't ever foresee like CrossFit Taylor just running, me
Mhm.
making a check and just not showing up.
Yeah.
Like that's not even how I would like this business to run. But is that me being here 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever? Like I needed to learn that each day. Um, and then as far as like building a team and coaching, I think we've done a pretty good job now of like when I bring on a coach, I at least try to be here for a class or two or three, and kind of shadow or like at least just be in the gym, be present, like introduce, like, hey, this is Nate.
Mhm.
He's going to be coaching. Y'all may not. And I think that's what we did with
Yeah.
5:30. Like, hey, you probably haven't seen Nate because Nate wasn't working out at
Yeah.
5:30 a.m. But he has been working out in the afternoon. I do trust him. He's an awesome person, and he's going to take good care of y'all. And then I'm still in the background if members have a question or something else, like, or if like as you're coaching, I don't know, like some coaches like, I don't know how to use the clock yet, or things
Yeah.
like that. So it's like, okay, we're gonna slowly introduce those things. Um, but then I start to gradually step away because I don't want our coaches to feel like I'm like an eagle eye watching them
Mhm.
coach. Because that's pressure. And you're not going to coach the best when like you're a new coach and you feel like you have to do something away because the owner or a better coach is standing there watching you.
Yeah.
So I like to try to introduce, be there for a day or two, but I think like if I like, I'm pretty sure I did it with you. Like, I stayed at the desk and like try to like do some things, and it's like I want, but there's not only do I want the pressure off the coach, I want the members to know that I trust the coach. Like, I don't want to be standing there next to the coach the whole time. Like, I want the members to be like, oh, Nate's coaching, Cam's doing something, he's busy. I must go ask Nate now
Yeah.
this question,
Yeah. Yeah.
because I think in the beginning when I was bringing coaches on and I was there a lot because I was working out and they were coaching, and that was like my members were still coming, hey, how should I scale this, what should I do today, blah blah blah. And it's like, no, no, like, I'm working out right now. Like, I'm trying to be a member. Could you please go ask the coach your question and let them coach? So I've kind of like had to try to learn how to introduce new coaches and help teach new coaches, but also like almost teach the members that like,
Yeah.
hey, this coach is a good coach. I do trust them, and you need to trust them too.
Mhm.
And that you don't need to. This is where I was talking about earlier. Like, a lot of people, like, they're attached to me, but it's like, you need to understand that, like, if I trust this person, you should trust this person. And like, don't just come to me because I may or may not know you better or whatever. Like, and if you continue to do that, this coach isn't going to get to know you,
Mhm.
right? Like, if you always ask Cameron questions, then Ryan, Savory, Chris, like whoever, Nate, like Claire, like, they're not going to get to answer those questions or know what you're struggling with. And you just went randomly off to the side and asked a different coach a question, and then they gave you an answer. And then now the actual person coaching the class is like, well, what do you do? Like,
Mhm.
where'd you come up with that? Or like,
Yeah.
why are you scaling that? Right. Versus like the coach that's coaching the class should know those things, or like want to know those things, to help the class run smoothly. So that was kind of something that like, um, I like, we don't have a SOP or a protocol like this is how we bring on a coach and it's this, this, and this, but there's a feeling to it. And some coaches I need to hang out a little bit longer, and some coaches, like after a class, it's like they got this.
Mhm.
Like, they're in charge of the class, the members are attached to them, and it's like I don't need to be here when this person's coaching anymore. Like, I trust that they're doing a good job, and
Yeah.
that the members enjoy them coaching as well, right? Um, so that's part of like building the team as well. And then I would like to say the behind the scenes stuff has gotten easier, but it really hasn't. um, Again, growing a business is hard, and like, you have to be consistent and you have to stay on top of things. And we brought on Amy last year. I think it's been about a year now.
Mhm.
She approached me about wanting to help, grow the business, and I was like, please God, yes. I need that help, because it's not that we didn't have the ideas, or we didn't, like, I had loads of sticky notes of stuff, not coaching related, of like, we should try this, we should do this event, we should make this post, we should do these things. But with all the coaching and all the other stuff, it's like, I also like just get tired. And when
Mhm.
my brain's tired, I can't really like do these other things, because I know if I do them, I'm gonna put out a bad product or a bad ad or a bad event or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not gonna be done right. And I don't like to put things out that are like half-assed. There's certain things we put out, and it's like, yeah, I need to get the ball rolling, and it's good enough now, and we'll kind of fix it as we go and make it better. But then there's some certain things that's like, okay, if I'm gonna launch this idea, I want to make sure I have a lot of stuff in place before this gets
Yeah.
out. Um, and so again, I had all these sticky notes, and then so we talked with her, and this was also when Taylor was pregnant, and we knew there'd be months of us like not, being as engaged at the gym and whatnot. So it's like, okay, we need to bring her on. We need to make sure that these things are getting taken care of for when we're gone. But then also, like, what can she help us in the future moving forward? Like, what are the tasks that, like, if I get too focused on this task, I drop the ball on this task.
Mhm.
So it's like, okay, what are the things I'm dropping the ball on that I can't just juggle all these things anymore? And I need help so that I can actually juggle the 3 balls or the 4 balls that I'm
Yeah.
able to, not the 6, 7, or 8. And so that was also hard, because it's like, now I'm trusting somebody to do this work, um, and hope that it's to my standard of like, it still represents my business, right? And I still want it to be done
Yep.
right. But then it's also like, I have to trust that person that they do know what they're doing, and let it go. So it's like, I don't like to be picky, but it's also like, hey, I would like this to be a little bit better. And so we've set up a good system there of like, typically we'll have like one sit down every couple of months of just like, let's lay out all the events or all the things that we want to plan. Um, and then if something new comes in, because I'm really good at saying yes to things,
Mhm.
I'm really bad about thinking about how it's going to affect the future,
Yeah.
or dates. So like, if a seminar gets brought up or
Mhm.
whatever, and I'm like, hell yeah, I want to do that here at CrossFit Taylor's. Like, what dates work, blah blah blah. And then I end up usually just like getting a date back, and then I'll just email that to Amy, be like,
Yeah.
hey, by the way, not sure what's going on, but this weekend we're doing this.
Mhm.
And so maybe something else is planned. So then she shuffles that to a different spot. But all of those things need posts leading up to them to build engagement, things like that. On top of that, we need posts to post about like community building and other things going on in here. And then, there's other behind the scenes, like business related things that like she helped us get set up that have made some things easier. One being like our online store is something I wanted to do for a long time. And I just, A, didn't really have the know how. So I was going to have to put a lot of time into figuring it out. And then B, put the time into doing it, which would have taken more time. And so she was like, yeah, I can do that. I've done that. I did that for this other business and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, sweet.
Yeah.
Go. Here's my
Mhm.
password and username. And, so there's been a lot of that handing off of that stuff. Um, that like it's it's hard to let go of things, but you do have to trust that person
Mhm.
and trust that they're doing it the best they can and they want to help, and that it's all with good intent, no matter if you like what they necessarily did or not. I still do approve a lot of things before they get sent out or done, which does help there too. So like a lot of the grunt work, if you will get done, and then it'll be like, hey, what do you think, or how do
Mhm.
I'm about to put this out, yes or no.
Yeah.
And then it can either be a quick fix or like, yeah, that looks good. And then, and that's with a lot of this stuff. So it helps take time off of me, but it's still not my thought necessarily or the way I would have said it or, whatever. But that's probably a good thing too, because it helped like the more characteristics we get to share with other people, I think the more people will attract necessarily, I guess, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
Um, so there's control, but there's also not too much control. So we don't just need a lot of Camerons. We need the Nates, the Claires, the Sabrys, the Tories, the Davids. Like everyone's different. Everyone's going to connect with different people, and it's like we still need the ground rules and we still need the base elements of a class or how we represent CrossFit Tailors when we go to an event and compete and things like that. Like we still all like I think share a lot of the base like thoughts and ideas and the brand, like we represent the brand of CrossFit Tailors very well, but it's not just me and like just my face, I
Mhm.
guess. So it's like I don't know if that answered or if I went on a tangent, but like it there is growth and whatnot that is needed to help, but then it's like the bigger things get, the more you almost have to do to keep those things going.
Yeah.
So instead of it getting easier, sometimes it can almost get harder because it's like, oh, I'm the type of person where it's like, oh, I got my time freed up.
Mhm.
What else can I put in that slot now?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, I'm not coaching regular classes anymore. Let's start a kids class. Okay, someone's taking over kids classes. Let's start an ageless athletes class.
Yeah.
Okay, someone's taking over that. What's the next thing that can like be brought on? Which I think is a good thing because that means the gym is growing and we're offering more.
Mhm.
But that's also more things that I have to like stay on top of in a broad like umbrella type of position of like, hey, is this still going the way we wanted to go? Is this still, what do we need to adjust over here? Because I'm not necessarily there all the time to get all the feedback, or like things like that. So um it's just different, I would say, from the beginning of like heck yeah, we're crushing these CrossFit classes and we're gaining these members and like it's just me and then maybe one or two other coaches. And then like the more people we bring on, the more it is to just kind of like umbrella and maintain but also like try to have like our coaches meetings and be like, hey, here's something I think we all should get better at or could get better at. And even if it's not that we're doing a bad job, it's just like I think as an owner and which I personally do feel like I need to do more of and like do a better job of is just like hey, let's just make sure that like I'm checking in and we're trying to improve something somewhere or
Yeah.
like not even improve but just like hey let's because like personally like if I take a seminar it's stuff that I usually know but it just gets me excited about it again. You know what I mean? So it's like I want to take our coaches meetings and like with our group of people, our team, and not bash people, but be like, hey, like here's this exciting, cool thing, or here's some things we should all kind of think about when we're coaching, and like try to present it in an exciting way, or like a hey, like if you do these things, like it's gonna make your class as a coach so much better. And you're gonna start getting more of those like members that are like, hey, I really loved your tip or your cue today. And like, and then as a coach, you're like, heck yeah. Like
Mhm.
that's the feeling we're all looking for is like, oh, I taught somebody something today and like
Yeah.
they connected with it. Right. And so it's like, okay, what can I take from my knowledge and my experience or something I saw and also share that, and not just by showing it and being like, here's how I would coach this, but like, hey, here's some ideas when you see the situation, this might help you, but then also how have you dealt with it and get your feedback on it, because the way you do it might help another coach do it. Like
Mhm.
it might not be my way, but like, so I think at least the last coaches meeting we had, it was I really enjoyed the collaborative, hey, we're going to throw something up here on the board, we're all going to think about it, we're going to share ideas. And I think that helped like open a lot of doors and like minds, as far as like there's not a black and white to coaching.
Mhm.
um it's there's a lot of situations that come up, or like things that happen, and it's good to have a lot of options or thoughts there. So again, the black and white could be like, it's not Cameron's way, or like it doesn't work here. It's like, no, I want you all to do it your way, as long as we get to the end result of the athlete had fun, was safe, and got better.
Yeah.
Like if that worked and they enjoyed it, like I don't care how you did it, like cool.
Mhm.
So there's, I guess, I don't, in the beginning it was that, because it was only me and it was only my way. But it's like learning to um just let coaches coach,
Yeah.
but like guide or help or bring up ideas when possible.
Mhm.
Um so I think that kind of covers that. I don't know.
All right.
Any other questions to add on to that, or
I mean,
thoughts?
yeah, I mean, obviously, I don't have a lot of experience with all of that.
Well, I guess, are there any like
Um,
is there any more detailed questions or something else you want me to dive into a little bit more? Try to like broadly cover a lot of that.
yeah, I mean, I think honestly, you kind of covered like the majority of what she was asking. You did about 10 minutes for kind of like each part. So I I would hope she kind of can take away some things
Yeah.
from that one. Um, and we are coming up on the 30-minute mark.
Come.
So, is there any kind of closing remarks or things you want to add on? Because I do think you answered her question overall very well and gave a actual detailed. Yes, it was broad, but it was detailed in the things you said.
Okay. Um, I would just say, like in general, with coaching, owning a gym, building a gym, things like that. Of like, I don't. There's a lot of ways to run a business. There really, truly are. And do it the way that you see fit for running your business and how you feel about your business. Like, I would say that, I would never. Like we've talked about how Trolley Train could be some like a business consulting thing
Mhm.
for CrossFit, right? And I don't think I see myself ever being like, okay, this is exactly how, like, you should repeat what I did.
Yeah.
Like, like a lot of what I did again was like organic and like, okay, does this decision feel like it's going to help or it's going to hurt? Does
Mhm.
this decision feel like it's going to be beneficial in the future or now? And then like, okay, what's more important is, do I need the now? Do I need the future? Like,
Yeah.
um, so it comes down to a lot of conversations of like, what's currently happening, what are your future goals, how are we going to get there, do you like the step by step, like are you a type A type of person, or you type B? Like I kind of find myself in the middle sometimes, which I think is helpful. But like don't, like yeah, I answered the way we did it and how I felt about it, but it's like I think for anyone, and again goes to any business, like um and let's talk like last thing. um what do you want from your business? If you just care about profit and money, there's probably a different way to do it.
Mhm.
And if you care about like the product that you're selling, then there's a different way to do it. If you care about the brand and the recognition, there's a different way to do it, right? So it's like you have to understand what like is the main goal of your business, and then like how you're going to get there, and then that probably affects how you grow a team or who you bring on and how those things are done. Um, so I would definitely leave it at that, as far as answering that question. I mean, for you, coaching wise, do you feel like that was the experience you had with? I know I answered some earlier of like this is how I did it, but like,
Yeah.
do you like like honestly like
Mhm.
from being a coach here, like did what I say like match up with kind of like what you've seen or felt or like you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing is like we also before I even started coaching CrossFit, we did like the barbell club. So I think a lot of like what you did with for instance, David, with him being the newest one, I think a lot of what you did with him is what I experienced with barbell club. So having you there, not like sitting behind the desk and just kind of like overwatching. And then I think when we did do CrossFit, you were there for the class. You did introduce me, just kind of let everyone know I would be here. And then you kind of hung off in the corner and just kind of overwatch. So at least everything that you said,
Yeah.
I would agree with.
Okay.
I think it just kind of like it's like with the David experience compared to what I had is just different because I had that year of barbell club.
Right.
So I
Yeah.
think some of the things like, okay, for David, how do you talk in front of people at the whiteboard?
Yeah.
We didn't have to do that. Or
Right.
like, how do you set the clock for an
Yeah.
EMOM? Or like, we didn't have to do things like that. So I think I had maybe a little bit of an expedited um,
Experience. Yeah.
experience
Yeah.
just because I had that almost a full year of doing smaller class settings with barbell and doing a lot of the whiteboard briefing, time management, things like
Yeah.
that. So
Do you think the way we do it is good? Like what we're doing with David of like, hey,
with
I'm
David,
gonna
yes.
kind of like put you into a
Mhm.
class. I think we well when we also coach beat him for a while of like,
That
hey,
I
you're
was
gonna
going to say that.
shadow. And then we kind of were like, hey, do pieces of a class.
Hmm.
But then there's that part of like got to push him in the water and let him
Yeah.
swim and then like like still be here but like,
Hmm.
not like we can't at some point you have to do the thing
Yeah.
and you're not going to get good at it until you start doing it.
Yeah, no, I think the way David was onboarded and everything, having him as a B coach, like the first two classes, just watching different people, how they do, like obviously he has a lot of the same people coaching him because he's been at 4:30, 5:30 very consistently.
Yeah.
But him having that experience of like, okay, now I'm actually watching this as a coach. Like, what do they do? How do they like what's their for instance the time management is a big thing like
Yeah.
people don't want to be here for 90 minutes most of the
Right.
time
Yeah.
so having that experience and then maybe by the third class okay you're going to now go through all the warm up and break that down okay now we're going to keep adding and adding instead
Yeah.
of just okay David good luck like we're going to throw you to the
Yeah.
fire and just see what happens
And,
I think I
and
obviously would have to ask him but
yeah, and I don't see a way to train a coach without doing it that like I don't
yeah
see you can't come in here without a class and be like, okay, so like walk me through a class. Like I don't
hmm
think that's gonna work either.
no
Like
no
you need the people here. And then also to have like I think when we switched and he ran the class, he had a coach B of
yeah
like
he did
someone that was like more experienced, just like ready to step in or ready to help out
hmm
if we felt like he dropped an area or like
yeah
needed to add a little bit more or like the clock something freaked out and
hmm
hey, let's just fix that real quick. Yeah, so I do think okay, cool. I
yeah
had something else to add on, but I lost it. But
yeah
that's all right.
No,
Uh,
overall, I think the way if we could continue to do kind of that style with David for whoever is the next one,
yeah,
I think is the right way to do that.
yeah, and I think it helps people get comfortable with
Hmm.
that person being a coach because they've been a member for so long, and
Yeah.
it's like, oh, now they're on this side.
Hmm.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say. It is interesting. I think when people start coaching, like you see a class completely different. Like
Yeah.
it's too different. You can't be a member and be like, I think I could coach, and then all of a sudden be really good at coaching
Yeah.
because there's so much more to think about. And there's you see like class just runs differently
Yeah.
when you're on the coaching side of it, versus like when you're part of the class.
Yeah.
Like you're just doing on the coaching side, you're thinking about, okay, this has to be done, this has to be started,
Hmm.
this has to be and like but you're also still trying to keep the energy high and not make it feel that way like
Yeah.
there's not like a schedule laid out.
Yeah.
It's like okay, I'm gonna just try to make this flow
Hmm.
so that the member side of it feels like all they did was do stuff and
Yeah.
they didn't have to like think about it that hard.
Yeah.
And I think that is a big part of like when people start coaching it's hard to make that transition
Yeah.
or it's like too transitiony. It's like
Yeah.
by 5:40 we're gonna do this, and then by 5:45 this is gonna happen, and it's
Yeah.
like okay, calm down a little bit. Like we don't need a drill sergeant in here
Mhm.
today. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I do think with that aspect, I kind of think it depends a little bit on the class.
Yeah.
Like I know there's some people where it's like if I don't have them on a time, they are going
Oh, yeah.
to take their time. They're going to put their shoes on. They're going to put knee sleeves on, wrist wraps,
Yeah.
thumb
Yeah.
tape. So like I think depending on the I think like I don't go to noon because I'm working, but I think noon is like or the joke here is noon 05
Yeah.
because they're running late.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
and I think that's part of coaching and experience is like you get to know like okay, if I do give them a bunch of leeway, we are not going to get out of here in an
Yeah.
hour.
And you have to be able to see the workout and be like, yeah, like
Mhm.
this is today I need to be on it.
Yeah,
I like to lead with it. Like if I know there's a bunch of stuff, hey
yeah,
guys, no dicking around today. Like
yeah,
we gotta get after it. And or I'm gonna leave you. Like you're gonna go over there and put your
yeah,
shoes on for 5 minutes. Like I'm gonna start coaching and people are gonna start moving and you're not gonna get that. But that's fine because everyone else is.
yeah.
And I think once you start doing that, then that member goes, oh crap, today's really serious, and they start speaking up and
Mhm.
they catch up, and then they realize like I don't get to lay around. So
Yeah, I mean, I kind of stole this from another coach. I don't remember exactly who it was, but it was at 5:30. We had kids class every the largest 5:30 I'd ever been to, and they just on the clock they set a 5-minute timer like we are starting. If you're not here, I'm sorry.
yeah,
And it's like I've kind of took that, and it's like people actually do like, oh, this is serious. Like I
yeah,
can't just like so. Again, that's a one-off situation where it's like, okay, we have to get through things quickly, and I know there's these people
yeah,
that if I don't, we're not going to get done. But
yeah.
it is kind of interesting. But I guess just rewinding back to the David and the onboarding, I would definitely say whoever that next coach is, do it that same way.
Try to
Hmm.
mimic that. Cool,
Yeah.
sweet. Well, we'll leave it at that.
All right. So with that said, that is episode 7 of Off the Rails here at CrossFit Tailors. As you can see, we do answer questions, and
Yeah.
hopefully, you got something out of that one, Dr. Devin up in Montana. So, thank you all for watching. Go ahead, subscribe, like, and comment, and we will see you all next week.
Woo.